Muhammad had a problem. He was madly in love with a woman, but she was married, and so was he, to 11 wives and a 6-year-old. The story gets a lot more complicated, so don't worry, sit down, and let's get into it. One day, Muhammad was going to go see his adopted son, but instead he met his wife there, and she was barely wearing clothes. And Muhammad sees her, and he's like, what you cooking over there, mama? And she like, nothing. What you talking about? So Muhammad lusted after his adopted son's wife, Zainab. Zayd was the adopted son. Zainab was Zayd's wife. So when the story got out that Muhammad lusted after his adopted son's wife, the adopted son said, well, it only makes sense since you are my dad and you are my prophet that I should only give up my wife to you. But here's where it gets interesting. It was embarrassing that Muhammad would marry his adopted son's wife, right? Everyone was clowning him and making fun of him. So Muhammad had to find a solution. And what was the solution? God would actually say, Muhammad, I actually want you to marry her so we can destroy the institution of adoption, so nobody can adopt anybody and say, this is my son or this is my daughter. You can take after kids and take care of them, but they have their own lineage, you have your own. They can't take your inheritance. They're not your actual kid in any sense of the word. They cannot call you dad or mom, just hello friend. He felt obliged to divorce his wife and to give her up to Muhammad. But Momo was such a good man. He said, listen, son, I can't just take your wife. This is your wife, okay? You're in love with her. She's like a daughter to me. She's my daughter-in-law. I can't marry her, okay? I lusted after her, yes, but she's your wife. You keep her, okay? Muhammad runs away. But he kept those feelings deep in his heart. And he still really loved her. And his 11 wives. And his child bride Aisha. But he hid it in his heart. But God can read even our hearts. This is where it gets wicked. The religion of peace. Why have you kept this thing away from you that I wanted to give you? You're hiding it in your heart right now. You love her and you want to be with her. Okay? And I caused all of these things to happen. You to find her all naked. You to lust after her. You to fall in love with her. For her husband, your adopted son, Zayd, to divorce Zainab so you can marry her, Muhammad. Why did you keep this away from yourself? And Muhammad said, man, I'm so pious. I'm so humble. I'm just such a good guy. I didn't think I should do it. But if God is telling me to do it, how can I deny myself what God is giving me? Thank the Lord. So Muhammad and Allah abolish adoption. So I'm not really taking my son's wife. I'm just taking a stranger's wife. You see, this is the logic and the miracle of Islam. As long as you abolish adoption so you can marry your adopted son's wife, it's no longer your son. It's no longer your adopted son. It's just a stranger that you're kind of taking care of that's younger than you, but not a son. Remember, not a son. So now everybody around Muhammad at that time, they couldn't say, oh, look at that man. He took his own adopted son's wife. How disgusting. Hey, no. Adoption does not exist anymore. Allah has abrogated it. Because Allah is so merciful and so kind that will take away adoption so kids can call their adopted parent mom or dad. We're going to take that away so Muhammad could bust a quick nut. And if somehow this all seems too much and too crazy to be true, she was also related to him. Sweet home Alabama. Yes, they were cousins. So Momo and Zainab lived happily ever after with his new wife, not from his adopted son, and Zayd, his adopted son, no longer adopted son, is missing a wife. He doesn't have a wife, but he has a new mother. Actually, he doesn't even have a new mother. And then Zayd loses a wife, but at least he gets to see the guy he used to call his dad, bang his wife or his ex-wife and, kind of see her like a mother. So, Islam. Amazing. And the whole reason I brought this story up was just to show the comparison between Muhammad and Jesus. Jesus never married a wife, never took his adopted son's wife, never did any of these things. First, because Muhammad is a terrible example for Muslims today. We can see it by the actions that Muslims take, and they say it's because of the Quran and because of Muhammad's example. Jesus is a lot better example for humanity and for everyone in general, right? Jesus never married his cousin. Jesus never married his adopted son's wife. He never caused the divorce because of his lust for this woman, right? Jesus is just a lot better than Muhammad and Islam. Jesus is a lot better than Islam, a lot better than Muhammad. And let's turn away from Muhammad and turn towards Jesus Christ. Okay, guys? Thank you. Have a nice day.
Witness to the things that I know now. I'm 5 years out of school, super in debt. Got a house, not really a house, a basement for 2,000. Got a wife and got a baby. Can barely afford the groceries that's in my pantry. But somehow we got 40 billion to send to Ukraine and to Israel to fund the genocides and the wars. Everything is outdoors, ain't that so wild? We got homeless veterans on the street, addicted to fentanyl, meth, everything that you see. I'm trying to tell you, this shit will make your eyes bleed when you start seeing the
You're gonna be like, these Muslims, Islam is such a religion of peace. Why are you talking like this to the Muslims? It's the truth. You, when this is for me, this is for all the children will have, so they can remember that their parents were in love and they gave a good example to follow Jesus Christ. That's the only example I'm trying to tell you.